We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. Good morning, folks. It is Reality Rants. I am Jason Bermas. It is brought to you by RedVoiceMedia.com. Remember, the second hour is always free over at the RVM Rumble or RVMRumble.com. What I'm going to ask of the Bermas Brigade today is if you're tuning in right now and you are not subscribed to one of the platforms, go subscribe to another platform. Yes, I need the thumbs up, the subscribes, the shares on YouTube. I need you to comment in the comment section. Guys, I want you to think about this. 70+ thousand subscribers, okay? To if we're lucky, 5,000 views on YouTube. And then out of those 2,000 to 5,000 views, I know there are a bunch of people in the live chat. I can't get 15 comments on a video. After the video is done being live on this YouTube channel, it goes nowhere. It goes almost nowhere. After the first literally 3 to 4 hours, nowhere. Almost nobody sees it at all. Click the notifications. Go ahead. Click all notifications. See if you get them all. Chances are no. That's why I need more people to move over to Rumble. Obviously, subscribe to the RVM. Subscribe to my Rumble as well. That's why we do these other sources. But even, paying for the Twitter, right? The idea that Twitter changed under Elon Musk is bullshit. It is. I'm sorry. He gave some accounts back. Wow. Ooh, thank you. Thank you. I still get context when I tweet something with like a curse word in it or something that's like, people don't usually tweet like this. Hey, right there, buddy. I'll tweet how I want. And then they've gone with almost a hyper Facebook model in that if I want people to see my material, they're acting like I'm going to be able to make money from it. And yeah, if you're selling sunglasses and trinkets, or if you're even selling the left-right paradigm, probably can make money here on Twitter. Probably do that too. If you're not, the FBI still has a back door to deboost anything you do. Anything you do. Now, I paid for my stupid blue check mark because they took away the creator studio, the media studio that allowed me to stream my broadcast here. And again, every once in a while, if I pinned a tweet or I got some traction, get like a few thousand more views, right? So now I should be, blue check mark. My stuff should be elevated. At 36,000 plus followers over there, I can't get 500 views on a video. Can't get 500 views on a video. Now, am I supposed to hit that promote button and pay 8, 10, 20, $50 to try to promote it to get 2,000 views on the video? Is that fair? Is that a fair business practice? Of course not. You know, I brought it up with Danny Polishchuk of the Boys Cast and Low Value Mail, which I went on. And I said, look, they give me a one-liner on YouTube why I can't monetize my content. And he was talking about how Revenge of the Sis had just been taken down, and they were taking down all these channels. He honestly asked me how I still had my channel. I said, no, they took it from me 4 times. I go, I had to fight them on Twitter. Another reason, I've kept my Twitter account active. I got the blue check mark, all those things, because really it's not about your content. All right? Let me explain this. Your content is on a sliding scale of how much influence and popularity you have and how many people are willing to come to bat for you and shine the light on absurdity. Jimmy Dore can say things I cannot say. I've watched it. I've watched Jimmy Dore play videos on his monetized YouTube channel that get taken off of my YouTube channel. And with today's subject on Epstein and the idea that, first of all, more and more revelations from this case. Got a couple of Epstein stories. Jamie Dimon is denying even knowing Epstein, despite the emails that clearly show that's not the case. Okay, but hey, it's the post-truth world. Jamie Dimon's got a lot of scratch. He's got a little cheese. He probably can do what he wants. I don't see Jamie Dimon going to prison anytime soon. Love to find out that's not the case, if, of course, he's criminally liable or anything. Nah, probably not. I mean, he works for the banks. They're great people. So we had Jamie Deluxe on the program. He's lost like 5 YouTube channels. And recently, once again, they started taking down content for cyberbullying. Now, they've done this to about a dozen of my Epstein videos already. So none of this is new to me. Cyberbullying. Ooh. And by the way, I didn't cyberbully anybody. I read from the actual documents that were being released during that 2016-2017 period, prior to the arrest in 2019. Cyberbullying? Really? Really? Come on. Who am I cyberbullying? The Maxwell family that has more resources than I can ever imagine? More connections than I could ever imagine? I could ever muster in my life? I'm cyberbullying the Maxwells? Is it the dead Jeffrey Epstein that I'm cyberbullying? It's ridiculous. It's on another level, okay? So we got another jam-packed show for you. I got quite a few clips, as I always do, lined up. One of them is with Chuck Todd, who is everything that has been and will be wrong with the mainstream media if we continue to allow them to simply lie to our faces. And we probably will. Again, we live in this post-truth, celebritard culture where somehow, some way, Chuck Todd, like the worst of the worst. To call that guy a journalist is absurd. It's insane. He is literally a mouthpiece for the establishment on every single issue. There is not an issue that Chuck Todd is going to tell you the truth about. Period. And I have this clip of presidential candidate Ramaswamy, the younger gentleman that has been going around. And look, I've seen him on, obviously, Fox News. This is MSNBC. I saw him on a C-SPAN town hall. Smart guy. Well-spoken, putting in the work. Does that mean I want him for president? Probably not. I don't necessarily trust the guy. But he comes in to the Lion's Den with Chuck Todd. He makes an opening statement about unity and where we are as a country and kind of what our national identity is and how we no longer have one and really what it means to be an American. And Chuck Todd immediately attacks. Oh, you say you want to unify. You say you're calling the trans movement a cult. And, we're going to break this clip down. But Ramaswamy correctly identifies what is going on as a mental illness. But here's the deal. Chuck Todd loves to talk about the new science. Ooh, there's new science suggesting otherwise. There's no new science suggesting anything else at all, ever, once. There's no scientific evidence whatsoever. Things have suddenly changed. After thousands, hundreds of years, decades, just all of a sudden, everything's changed now. But it was a slow change, slow burn. Unzipped jeans, 97, right? This is real. It's really happening. And the science that they're using is the science that we focused on earlier in the week when we did our expose on Martine Rothblatt. What did Martine Rothblatt tell you about the entities that will be creating via our mind files? That once there's a scientific consensus, in this case, the science of the mind, psychology, then these beings will get their rights. Well, guess what? It is that pseudoscience of psychology to which Chuck Todd is referring. He's not talking about biologists, all right? Not at all. He's talking about psychology. Oh. First of all, just like any other science, there is never going to be a consensus among all psychologists on such an issue. Just not going to happen. That's not real. But again, it's not about an actual consensus. It's a consensus among the mainstream media, their allies in political office, and Hollywood. Okay? So as long as entertainment, politicians, and media shove it down your throat as utter fact, and then you have a military-industrial complex behind the scenes not only pushing it, but censoring anybody who pushes back in a meaningful manner across social media, well, you've got your consensus. You've got it. And Ramaswamy does a good job against Chuck Todd, but Chuck Todd, man, he turns my stomach every single time I see him speak. Every single time I see him speak. So we've been ranting. We've been ranting here on Reality Rants. I want to briefly, before we go to our first break, show you the featured story. There's actually 2 new Epstein stories out of the Daily Mail. We're going to be briefly going over both. Convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein continued to entertain up to 7 young girls a day and was so obsessed with their teeth he had a dentist chair at his mansion and forced them to go to an orthodontist. His private diaries reveal. Now we're going to scroll down, and this is that room. We've known about this, but apparently it was in all of his homes, is what they're saying right here. This is, and he would send them to Manhattan orthodontists. Can you imagine being in Jeffrey Epstein's mansion of horrors? Oh, don't worry, we're going to fix your teeth. On top of everything else that's going around there. All of a sudden, you go into this private room. Can you imagine the dentists that were doing this? Creepy, scary. Jeffrey Epstein continued meeting dozens of young women after his sex crime conviction, with up to 7 girls visiting him in a single day, his private calendars reveal. And the teeth-obsessed pedophile, who had a dentist chair in his Florida home and another on his Caribbean island, often sent the women to a Manhattan orthodontist, the documents show. The revelations, part of a tranche of documents handed to the government of the U.S. Virgin Islands as part of its investigation into the sex trafficking operation. They show that despite being a registered sex offender who had just come out of a 13-month jail sentence, the pedophile had appointments at all hours of the day. No kidding! You mean when you get a sweetheart deal and a slap on the wrist? You just go back to whatever you were doing when you weren't even doing the other thing in the first place. You were leaving jail on a daily basis. We're going to come back, get deeper into this article, another one on Epstein, after a word from our sponsor.
Folks, we have a huge problem on our hands. A banking crisis is spiraling, and it's all thanks to the current administration's reckless spending, sky-high inflation, and massive interest rate hikes. Now, these banks are suffering, and guess what? They can legally seize your savings without notice to bail themselves out. That's right. Thanks to a sneaky law passed back in 2008, it's now legal for banks to take your hard-earned money, including your retirement savings, to save themselves. Now, this could leave your retirement accounts decimated, and you paying the price for their disastrous policies. Take action now before it's too late. Now, this guide will show you how to defend your money and keep your retirement savings safe from the banking crisis and the current administration's financial fiasco. This simple and 100% legal strategy may help you protect your retirement against higher taxes, soaring inflation, and a volatile economy. So don't let your golden years be ruined by someone else's mistakes. To secure your free wealth protection guide and safeguard what's rightfully yours, don't wait. The time to act is now.
All right, as we get back into this article, one of the other things that I want to talk about quickly is what's not said about this. Steve Bannon interviewed Epstein, apparently has 16 hours of interviews with Epstein, talked to Epstein about his island. Epstein then corrects him and says it's actually 2 islands. And Bannon says, islands of Dr. Moreau. And he goes, that is correct. That would suggest chimeric experimentation going on in the islands. Now, apart from the creepy aspect that if you have dentist chairs and billions of dollars and all sorts of influence, I would assume that you have all sorts of anesthesia at your home and laughing gas, but really things that could subdue somebody, put them completely unconscious. And you wonder whether or not those aspects ever came into play. It's almost hard to assume that they wouldn't. But then you ask yourself if there was any unethical experimentation going on behind the scenes under the guise of this dental work. That's something that's a possibility. Now, is that cyberbullying that I bring that up based on other facts surrounding this case? Sure hope not. Sure hope it's not too wayward to point out that the Zorro Ranch was apparently a baby-making facility with beds for many a lady to have the Epstein babies, as he reseeded the world with Epstein superclones. I know, it sounds like something out of a 1980s G.I. Joe cartoon. It's not. It's this. On one day alone, Epstein had 3 sets of meetings with 2 young women, followed by a final one at 7:30 with a lone female, reaching a total of 7 girls in 5 hours. Yeah, this guy wasn't a monster. Among the names on the calendars were numerous Russians, models, and a woman who later sued his estate, saying he took her virginity and forced her into a sham marriage to keep one of his associates in the country. While the exact nature of the appointments was unclear, the way the women were described, their first name only, followed by a phone number, was identical to how his victims were listed in the section of the Black Book of Contacts titled Massage. The disturbing picture emerges from hundreds of documents and emails and diaries with the estate of Epstein, who hung himself while awaiting trial for sex trafficking in 2019. DailyMail.com obtained the documents that give an unprecedented insight into Epstein's network of influence and context. I want these documents. Let me say it again. I want these documents. Just like when they were releasing everything at Court Listener, there was tons of stuff in there that was making no rounds in the mainstream and barely being discussed in the alternative. I want these documents. Not just the Wall Street Journal, not just the Daily Mail. I want the documents. Can I get the PDF files? Somebody, please. Yeah, please, somebody on the inside of either of those news organizations that still has a heart or a soul, that realizes that they're going to be limited in the scope of their reporting, please release the documents. You know, I don't want to get too far away from Epstein, but I've got to mention that Marjorie Taylor Greene was on Twitter yesterday talking about how it's finally been negotiated that like 3 journalists are going to get the raw January 6th footage. Excuse me? What? That wasn't the deal. That wasn't what we were all promised and told. I'm supposed to be able to get those those videos. You're supposed to be able to get those videos. Citizens should be able to comb through them and then point out things they've discovered that surely the mainstream media will call conspiracy theory. But hey, we'll have the documented evidence, and that's the last thing they want. Let the plebs rot. You get nothing. You will own nothing, and you will be happy about it. You will be forced into ignorance and no longer be able to access the truth. That's great, isn't it? It's lovely. Can't wait. So, you know, shame on anybody who thinks otherwise, especially regarding January 6th and those documents. And really the documents too, because let's be honest, it sure looks like a setup, huh? And by the way, there's a Ray Epps revelation out there that I'm not sure I even want to talk about here yet. All I'm going to say is there is a possibility, and this account, I checked it. Let's see, the callers were half in the back. Oh, he's talking about my my buddy's texting me about the Danny Polishchuk podcast that I did. He says, dude, that show was great. He basically let you go ham. Yeah, he did let me go ham. The callers were half in the bag, though. Well, I feel like that's going to be that audience. All right. Back to, let's shift back. Let's shift it back. Let's shift it back. So again, you have all this documentation. You have all these videos, and nobody's accountable. And with January 6th in particular, you have the pipe bomber that we just can't find for January 5th. That makes no sense. I just talked about Epps. There's an account out there from January, I think, of 2015. So it's been up there for 7-8 years. I don't know whether it's a troll or not. I have not found anything to debunk it. But one of the reasons I'm not showing you what it says up here, I'll talk about cyberbullying, is that the allegations against Epps that have nothing to do with January 6th are frightening. And they are allegedly being made by his stepdaughter. And if what this stepdaughter, if it is his stepdaughter, is saying is true, it shows Epps was completely compromised and clearly had an incentive to work with law enforcement. That's all I'm going to say about it until I confirm it. I would imagine that it will either be confirmed or debunked by the Monday broadcast, but it is yet another layer to that case. A really disturbing layer, by the way. I mean, anybody who went to bat for Epps, if this is true, you're going to look real bad. You're going to look real stupid if for any reason you went to bat for Ray Epps. But that's the thing, man. Like, let's say this horrific thing is true. This is really Ray Epps' stepdaughter and all these other things, and the allegations are true. Are we going to get an apology from the mainstream? Are we going to get an apology from the mainline Democrats and liberals and the debunkers? Not a chance, man. Not a chance. They'll probably try to give this guy the Nobel Peace Prize. They already ran the 60 Minutes puff piece on him. We did a watch along with that. Talk about propaganda. Out of control. Out of control. So let's keep going on this article. The calendar stuff strongly suggests that Epstein's conviction in 2008 for soliciting a minor for prostitution, part of a sweetheart plea deal, Dershowitz, did nothing to stop his offending. No kidding. The diaries feature names of young women flying in from foreign countries with flight numbers and times they will land. Epstein met women from 8 a.m. until late into the evening and even squeezed them in before and after world-famous guests arrived at his New York mansion. Excuse me. One day, Epstein had a tentative 8:30 a.m. appointment with a Swedish model, followed by another at 9:30 with two women at an address in Manhattan. At 2 p.m., he had another appointment, followed by a fourth at 4 p.m. on the same day. Another example of Epstein's busy schedule was a day that featured 7 women over a 5-hour period. The appointment started at 3 p.m. with 2 girls, followed by another at 5:15 p.m., a third pair at 6:15, and a final meeting at 7:30 p.m. My question would be, is during something like that, is there somebody else with Epstein that kind of takes on these meetings? So maybe he's penned in, but he meets an associate, somebody he may be doing business with or may have compromised, and he just takes them there to introduce. I don't know. I have no idea. By the way, can we get the thumbs up? We don't even have 100 thumbs up over on YouTube. Remember, don't just comment in the live stream. Give me some comments down below. Let's make this one get at least 5K on YouTube. Match at least like half of what we get on Rumble at this point. That'd be nice. That'd be great. One of those listed as having an appointment with Epstein filed a lawsuit against the estate under the pseudonym Caitlin Doe. She said that Epstein abused her for years, starting when she was 17. He forced her to marry a foreign national and recruiter to keep her in the U.S. to work for him. In exchange, Caitlin Doe was told she would get $20,000 for a medical procedure she needed. So once again, everybody who wants to talk about where's the list, where's the client list? No, that's not a client list. Okay? This is a guy, this is a mover and shaker. Like, this guy is not a client. He's a business partner. If he's arranging for women or girls he abused starting at 17 to marry people, that's a business partner. They're in business together. There is a business deal on top of that. And the business isn't just selling off Caitlin Doe. I guarantee you that. Because don't get me wrong, that kind of human trafficking can be somewhat lucrative. But that's not the kind of lucrative that Epstein was really concerned with. Also listed as meeting Epstein was Shelley Lewis, a British woman who once dated him. In a diary entry, she is described as bringing a friend along. Disturbingly, one young woman is listed as visiting Epstein's house in New York with her parents and then seeing a Rockettes show. The same woman was later seen heading out for an evening with Epstein and 9 other young women, most of whom are known associates of Epstein. Another woman in the log. See, that's the thing. I want to see who is it Leslie Groff? Right? Is it, Kaylin? Sarah Kaylin? I want to know who these people are. Another woman in the logs is Epstein's last known girlfriend, Belarusian Katyana Shuliak, who was also a licensed dentist. Interesting. I wonder how much work Katyana was. Is that her right there? That's her, yeah. A licensed dentist. Interesting. This is Shelley Lewis, a British woman who once dated him. And who is this right here? Oh, we don't. Is it Julia Stepanova? Okay. Let's get to the other article right here briefly before we go to our next break. JPMorgan CEO Jamie Dimon denies he knew Epstein or his sex crimes until his 2019 arrest, despite having a 2011 internal email warning him Jeffrey is not an honorable person. He should not be a client. Really? I can't. Jeffrey Epstein isn't honorable? And that's in 2011. Folks, we'll be right back after this word from our sponsor.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets, sleepwear, dog beds.
Whoa, Charles. Everyone now can get MyPillow products at huge discounts at MyPillow.com. That's right. Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our 3-in-1 sale. We're bringing you exciting new products, overstock specials, and closeout deals you won't find anywhere else. For example, when you buy one of our brand new MyPillow 2.0s, you get another one absolutely free. And with our overstock sale, you save 50% on our luxurious Giza Dream bed sheets. That's as low as $29.99 for the best sheets ever. And with our biggest closeout special, you get our all-season slippers for only $35. Or our sandals and slides for just $25. Quantities are limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
They're gone, Mike. Oh, my goodness. Use the promo code RVM when you're shopping over at MyPillow.com. So, here's the deal. Apparently, he has testified to this, and if this is under oath, it will truly show you the separate tiers in the justice system. Again, you think Jamie Dimon, JPMorgan CEO, is going to jail? Is Jess Barclay in jail with those revelations from the same case? JPMorgan CEO has testified that he had never heard of Jeffrey Epstein and his sex crimes until his 2019 arrest, despite being advised in a 2011 email by his general counsel that he was not an honorable person and should not be a client of the bank, according to a transcript of the videotaped deposition released Wednesday. So maybe we can get this transcript. In fact, Bermas Brigade, maybe this is linking to it, but I would love to get the transcripts on this. Perhaps they're in court, listener, at this point. I don't know. Jamie Dimon said he first heard about Epstein and his crimes against teenage girls and young women when the story blew wide open in 2019. Sure, I'm sure that's exactly when you learned about it. He was arrested, and all the stories came out about all the people he knows, and the reason I remember that is I was surprised that I didn't know about it before. Wow, the Jeffrey Epstein scandal really caught me by surprise. Yeah, caught him by surprise. Asked by a lawyer if he'd ever heard the name Jeffrey Epstein before the arrest, Dimon responded, "Not that I recall." Yeah, okay. That's going to bite him in the ass. You know, there's going to be a picture. There's going to be an eyewitness. That is just absolutely ludicrous. But the deposition also revealed that the bank's former general counsel, Stephen Cutler, wrote a 2011 email that Epstein should not be a client of the bank. Dimon said in the deposition he was not aware of that email at the time, but I know it today. Missed it back then. Know it today. Unaware of the billionaire who'd been busted in Palm Beach. I know it today. Okay. It comes after former JPMorgan executive Jess Staley accused the CEO of lying about his knowledge of the bank accounts held by Epstein that were allegedly used for the trafficking of you-know-what. Young girls, young women, the whole shebang, diddly, ango. All right, I want to get away from Epstein. We got this segment and one other segment left in the first hour. I want to remind everybody that you can watch the second hour for free Monday through Thursday over at RVMRumble.com. RVMRumble.com is where you want to move over for that second hour, uncensored, where we can get a little bit, just a tiny bit, more hardcore than we can get here on YouTube. And speaking of hardcore, there is an awesome journalist out there. His name is Sam Husseini. And Sam Husseini has been asking legitimate and real questions now for some time in the press corps. And they are tough ones, and they are often related to foreign policy and sometimes Israel. And I think that one of the blind spots among the mainline conservative movement is kind of this blind allegiance to Israel as our greatest ally. That's ridiculous. And then I also think that there's a blind spot for those that think that they're awake or are awake on many levels to predispose that everything involves Israel, where I don't believe that either. I think, again, somewhere in the middle. Now, with Epstein in particular, it certainly looks like he has what? Israeli Mossad connections. Just like it looks like he doesn't just have FBI, but also Central Intelligence Agency connections. Okay? So, Sam Husseini has done this compilation video showing the hypocrisy of our policies with Israel and the ICC, the International Criminal Courts, and then our position with Russia. It's about a 7.5-minute clip, and we are certainly going to play the whole thing in full, and I think that I'm even going to back off while we play it. But before we play that, we got to play this, okay? Jesus. Karine Jean-Pierre, stunned response when White House spokesman John Kirby is asked if Joe Biden is corrupt because of family's foreign business deals. John Kirby is a joke, okay? So this video is only about 1:14. The reporter asks a real question. He asks a real question, and the response is cartoon level. It's just like, we don't have to respond to this. I can't even believe that you would ask this question. The president has addressed this before. The president doesn't know where he is most times. The president doesn't take real questions at real press conferences. The president is a zombie establishment puppet, okay? And a known liar, a man who has been caught in dozens of lies throughout his political career. So I'm going to play the clip.
There have been many developments in the House investigations into the First Family's international business dealings recently. There's one committee trying to get an FBI. There's another IRS. There's one committee trying to get an FBI file alleging that President Biden took bribes. There's another IRS whistleblower who's alleging there's a cover-up in the investigation. Amid all of this, there was a Harvard-Harris poll this month that found that 53% of the public, including a fourth of Democrats, believe, quote, Joe Biden was involved with his son in an illegal influence peddling scheme. There's, of course, evidence that the president interacted with his relatives, associates from China, Mexico, Kazakhstan, Russia, and Ukraine. So what do you say to the majority of Americans who believe that the president is himself corrupt?
Wow. Can I take that question?
The president has spoken to this. The president has spoken to this, and there's nothing to these claims. And as for the whistleblower issue that you talked about, and the document, I believe the FBI has spoken to that, and you're going to have to go to them on that.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's get out of here. All right, let's get the hell out of here. That dude asked a real question. Why do the majority of citizens in this country think that Joe Biden is corrupt? And it's just not real. It's not part of their authoritative, great narrative. You understand? So he just nods his head. No. All right, let's play this clip from Sam Husseini. We'll be able to get through the majority of it before our next commercial break. Must watch. Remember, we're still going to do the Chuck Todd video. I'll probably start that at the end of the first hour, take it into the second hour to have you guys come along. Without further ado, here is a real journalist asking real questions and putting together a real video on a real subject.
We, of course, remain engaged with the ICC through a number of mechanisms. We believe that there are a number of avenues for holding those accountable for atrocities, especially in the context of Russia and Ukraine.
The State Department continues to not want the ICC to be implemented regarding Israel.
You saw me speak quite clearly to Saeed's question about our desire that both sides not take steps that are going to incite incite tensions and take us further away from a negotiated two-state solution. We've been quite clear about that consistently.
Hey, this is Sam Husseini. I wanted to add a little bit of context to recent Q&A about the International Criminal Court that I did at the State Department. First, let's take a look at what happened.
Go ahead.
South African Foreign Minister, Minister of International Affairs Pandor has called for the International Criminal Court to issue arrest warrants against leaders of, quote, apartheid Israel responsible for, quote, the massacre of the Palestinian people.
We have become tired at the abuse of the people of Palestine. South Africa is a long-standing partner in solidarity with the people of Palestine, given that they supported our own struggle for freedom. We believe they have a right to enjoy justice and freedom, and we call on the world to be as concerned about the deaths of Palestinians as they're concerned about deaths of any other nation in the world. So we really believe we want to hear the ICC indicating that an arrest warrant would be issued for leaders of apartheid Israel, who are the ones who are supporting the massacre of the people of Palestine.
Will the State Department finally support International Criminal Court mechanisms in international law regarding Israel? If not, why not?
We, of course, remain engaged with the ICC through a number of mechanisms. We believe that there are a number of avenues for holding those accountable for atrocities, especially in the context of Russia and Ukraine. But I've not seen these comments, so I don't have anything additional to offer on that.
The State Department continues to not want the ICC to be implemented regarding Israel.
On the matter of Israel and the Palestinian Authority, you saw me speak quite clearly to Saeed's question about our desire that both sides not take steps that are going to incite tensions and take us further away from a negotiated two-state solution. We've been quite clear about that consistently. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but you have refused to apply the ICC over the years to Israel.
I just don't have anything additional to offer on this.
I don't know what the reason for that is. You've stated reasons before, but you're unwilling to state them now.
Your colleague has had her hand up.
I've had my hand up.
You got to love them, man. Like, no, I've had my hand up. The ICC has no jurisdiction over this matter. Israel is not party to the ICC and has not consented to the court's jurisdictions. And again, he points it out in plain view. The hypocrisy that Russia does this, they're not allowed. Poot is a terrorist. You know, despite the fact that even Jimmy Carter, and he took a lot of heat from it, it's whispered about, you know, that this even happened. There's a movie that goes along with it. He wrote a book, Peace Not Apartheid, about the Israeli situation, okay? Palestine, again, peace, not apartheid. All right? And Jimmy Carter has to defend this all the way back in 2007. How the times have changed. So, here is that book cover. I forget what peace, not apartheid. He's telling you it's an apartheid state. Netanyahu has told you Israel is not for everyone. And then he goes on television and brags about the biomedical state that they have created in Israel through this COVID-1984 nightmare. And then says, you know what? We've got 98% of the medical records of each citizen for the last 20 years. I can't wait to get ourselves a DNA database, which most people will volunteer for, but others will just pay or whatever, and then we're going to slap it on top of that. That's scary, man. That's a whole nother level of eugenics, in my opinion. A whole nother level. Oh, we're going to take your genetic database? Well, that sounds great, especially in a state like Israel. Just totally and completely wild. And the idea that we should pledge our allegiance to any nation state without boundaries is total and complete insanity. We're going to go to a commercial break from our sponsor, come back, play the rest of that Husseini video, and then also the beginnings of this Chuck Todd piece. Chuck Todd, everybody. Everybody loves Chuck Todd.
Have you heard of Executive Order 14067? This little-known order implemented the digital dollar, the most sinister plan to control your spending. And it gets worse. In November, the federal government and banks began a test program to roll out the digital dollar. With this, privacy for all Americans will be lost forever. Imagine, the government can now track all of your spending. The government can tell you what you can and can't buy. The government could confiscate your cash. When digital currency was rolled out in China, Bloomberg wrote, quote, "This will lead to control like no other," end quote. The EU has announced that they are next, but it is already happening in America, which makes this wealth protection guide that American Alternative Assets just put out even more urgent. Project Hamilton, as this secret order is being called, might be the scariest order to happen to privacy and freedom in America since its founding, which makes this wealth protection guide so incredibly valuable right now. Move your money out of cash and into something that doesn't infringe on your privacy. You see, there is one legal IRS-proof loophole that could protect your IRA, 401k, and pension savings with gold and silver. And this free guide tells you exactly which steps you need to take right now to move part of your IRA or 401k into precious metals with no tax consequences. As this program rolls out, the sky's the limit for the level of government control that could be enforced on your money. Protect your savings and your privacy. But in the devastation ahead, American Alternative Assets is offering you something rare, a chance to protect your wealth and possibly even grow it.
RVMGoldandSilver.com. If you're going to get your gold and silver, consider supporting the broadcast and consider going premium. RedVoiceMedia.com/uncensored. RedVoiceMedia.com/uncensored. Try it out for just $1 today. It's $10 a month. After that, you get a 1-week trial, or lock it in. You love the show? Lock it in for the full year. Save $20, $100. And guess what? You get 2 extra great interviews from Jason Bermas every single weekend. Right now, Richard Andrew Grove, Jamie Deluxe, they're up there. But then after 2 weeks, it goes free anyway. You know, I had somebody ask me to post the whole Jay Dyer interview. Well, it'll go free this weekend, but that can't happen. We can't just give everything away for free, including these 8 hours a week, without your support. So consider it. RedVoiceMedia.com/uncensored. Let's go back to Sam Husseini and him really just pointing out the hypocrisy. And again, the selective enforcement of treaties internationally, okay? And how our State Department actually works.
We, of course, remain engaged.
We firmly oppose and are disappointed by the ICC prosecutor's announcement of an investigation into the Palestinian situation. We will continue to uphold our strong commitment to Israel and its security, including by opposing actions that seek to target Israel unfairly. The ICC, as we have said, has no jurisdiction over this matter. Israel is not a party to the ICC, and it has not consented to the court's jurisdiction. And we have serious concerns about the ICC's attempts to exercise its jurisdiction over Israeli personnel.
So the Biden State Department had been saying that they refused to apply the International Criminal Court to Israel because Israel is not a party to the International Criminal Court's Rome Statute. They're no longer saying that. And the reason that they're no longer saying that, it's quite evident, is because they are trying to utilize in some way the International Criminal Court against Russia, but Russia also is not a party to the Rome Statute. Adding insult to injury, Ukraine is also not a party to the Rome Statute, but Palestine is, and they still refuse to apply it to Palestine / Israel. In the past, you have said that the reason that you have not wanted to implement the ICC is because Israel is not a signatory to is not subject to the Rome Statute. But that's the case for Russia now as well, and you are pro applying the ICC to Russia, which has the same status fundamentally.
We have never said that either. What I have simply said is that we have worked and work with the ICC and other international entities as it relates to atrocities happening in Russia. I've not said that we are pro anything.
But you have said in the past that you will not apply the ICC.
I'm gonna move on now.
This is Leah Griffith with the...
Furthermore, the U.S. itself is not a party to the Rome Statute, but they are attempting to get countries which are parties to the Rome Statute to use it against Russia.
Are you familiar with the ICC arrest warrant being that was issued against Putin?
Yes.
If Putin came to the United States for whatever reason, would we turn him over to the ICC?
Well, I can't get ahead of that because obviously I have to look at the laws and rules. As you know, we're not actually a party to the ICC, so I don't want to engage in that hypothetical.
Well, would you encourage our European allies to turn him over?
I think that anyone who is a party to the court and has obligations should fulfill their obligations.
Look at that love fest between Lindsey Graham and Tony Blinken. That should tell you all you need to know about Lindsey Graham and his fake ass. Look at that love fest. I got to watch Lindsey Graham sit there after it talks about all this money that we spent killing Russians. Best money we've ever spent. Best money we've ever spent, says Graham. Well, he makes goo-goo eyes at Tony Blinken, and Blinken gives him that smile. That nice Department of Defense, military-industrial complex smile. Yeah, well, I don't know, if the Pootster came here, would we turn him over to the ICC? I mean, cartoon world. Cartoon world. The dark cartoon.
And we're really kind of past double standards to triple and quadruple standards because the International Criminal Court and other legal mechanisms have been used against others, leaders in Africa, against former Yugoslavia, and so on. But NATO and the U.S. and Israel have gone through all of this unscathed. The current head of the International Criminal Court is a barrister in UK, and he was one of the individuals as part of the one-sided prosecution in Yugoslavia. I give a more complete write-up of everything that happened, as well as some links and references on my Substack. Check it out, sign up, support it if you can.
We got to get Sam Husseini on, man. We got to get him on the program. I think he follows me on Twitter as well. I know that I'm following him, but he is doing bang-up work, and one of the very few people within the press corps that is asking tough questions and really trying to demand answers, despite the fact that it's very hard to get answers, especially honest ones, in that situation. Speaking of honesty, as promised, Chuck Todd, Ramaswamy, we might as well just play it from the beginning so you can see how phony Chuck Todd is and how ridiculous this scenario begins.
As America debates how old is too old to be president, the youngest candidate that's announced in the 2024 field is currently introducing himself to voters. Vivek Ramaswamy is a 37-year-old multimillionaire who graduated from Harvard College and Yale Law School. He made his fortune at a hedge fund and in biotech, and he ran an asset management company which calls itself anti-woke. A first-time candidate for political office, he says he has plans to start an anti-woke cultural movement.
37 years old. I like the youth. I'm not going to lie. And that is youth to me. I'm 6 years older than this guy. I'm not a multimillionaire. I'm not a Harvard guy. You know, I'm certainly not a person of color as Vivek is. Okay? But he's very common sense. And Chuck Todd gives him this introduction. He's going to let him speak, and then immediately, snake venom. Snake venom.
We're in the middle of a national identity crisis. That leaves a vacuum in its wake, and when you have a vacuum that runs that deep, that is when poison fills the void. Pick your favorite one. Wokeism, transgenderism, climatism, globalism, COVIDism.
And you know what? I like that he said those things. But at the same time, as you guys know, I just hate this term woke. Because it's not, I get it. That's the term, that's their terminology. But really, all these things that are quote unquote woke were really what? They were collectivist. All right? They're in the same thing when I hear about communism or socialism. No, it's collectivism under any other guise. Because when you look at the quote-unquote woke culture, you have to agree to it and bend the knee to it and collectivize around it no matter its insanity or its inherent anti-human nature, anti-biological nature. Okay? And you have to act like that's not the case. That's bad. That's bad news brown, man.
And Vivek Ramaswamy joins me now. Mr. Ramaswamy, welcome back. Actually, welcome to Sunday Meet the Press.
Hey, welcome back. Yeah, look at this little snake-like. Welcome back. Not really welcome back. Welcome to Sunday Meet the Press.
Thank you. Good to see you again, Chuck.
Let me start with this overall look. You've got this anti-wokeism. You've written books about this. This is your political identity as you've introduced yourself to folks. I get it in a primary. Why are you convinced this message could actually work if you got the nomination in a general election?
I think I'm speaking as a member of my generation here, Chuck, but I think it's true of all Americans. We're all hungry for a cause right now in America. We're hungry for...
See, I don't know that that's true. I'm not hungry for a cause, man. I'm hungry, okay, to take the Constitution and Bill of Rights and not have a, revolution. No, I want a reformation of those documents. I want my constitutional republic back. I want people to be held accountable when they commit the most heinous of crimes under the guise of government. That's what I want. I don't need a movement to get around. I don't need a flag. I don't need a t-shirt. I don't need a slogan. I don't need any of that. And I don't believe the vast majority of Americans need any of that. Basically, most of them want the same things that I do. Okay? An ability to make a living, own property, take care of myself and my family, prosper. Prosper by being able to what? Accumulate and save wealth. I want to be left alone. I don't want to be surveilled. These are the basics, man, that anybody would come around, and I don't need a movement for it. I don't need to say I'm MAGA. I don't need a red hat. You get it? I don't need an armband or a flag or a logo or any of it. So that's where I would disagree with this guy. You know, at the same time, he's about to talk about national identity. And in many ways, I do agree with him here that we don't have a national identity anymore.
Purpose and meaning. At a point when the things that used to fill our hunger for purpose, faith, patriotism, family, hard work, these things have disappeared. So I see an opportunity to revive our missing national identity. I think that's something that Americans hunger for across the political spectrum, answering what it means to be an American today. You ask people my age that question, you get a blank stare in response. I think that is the vacuum at the heart of our national soul. I'm running for president to revive the ideals that actually set the nation into motion. I think it's going to unite the country.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Now Knives Out Chuck comes up. All right. Final commercial. I'm going to come back briefly to the YouTube audience to let everybody know where they can find the second hour for free live. But I've said it before. I'll say it again. I use IPVanish. It's a great VPN, and I'd encourage you to use it as well and use the promo code RVM.
We love the internet, but the internet is tracking everything you do. Take control of your online privacy with IPVanish. People with malicious intent are everywhere, watching you. Criminals can hack your Wi-Fi, while broadband providers and advertisers monitor your data. With IPVanish on your device, your internet activity is encrypted. No one can see what you're doing. Your location, your connection, completely hidden. Protect your internet privacy today with IPVanish.
IPVanish, rvmvpn.com. Go check it out. All right, YouTube, you know the drill. You want the second half of this broadcast. Once again, it's over at rvmrumble.com. Make sure to thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. Make a comment down below. Share the videos via email. And let's try to get 100 new subscribers across a multitude of platforms today. I'm putting on my little please, 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 begging you please, to share the info, share the show, and help us grow. So YouTube, we will see you